Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. We are making a difference with our first responders across the nation, giving them the mental awareness and the healing and the resources that they need to avoid what our show is all about today, and that is a bucket dump. Welcome, Sam. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing a lot better than I was 47 days ago, or 45 days ago, whatever it was.
That is right. And first, just it's great to see you on camera. We haven't seen each other in person.
I know.
Welcome back. It's I appreciated all the phone calls, our chance to talk while you were where you were, and we're gonna share about that. And so I'm hoping that people are going to come on and just really take in everything that you have to say. I'm just, as a technical side, I'm not seeing us, by the way, live on the Mad Radio page.
Sure. We should be. Maybe. I want to make sure I will double check that. I'll share it anyway. Let me just make sure.
Definitely
on the badge of honor page and the Mad Radio page.
I'm just not seeing us live on Mad Radio.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've been out of the loop for a little bit, so
just a minor detail. It's okay. So I don't know where we are actually we are live right now.
Check it now.
Welcome everybody, and welcome back, John. And I always say that I get messages and that things happen for a reason. Messages come through. The last time you called me, it was like I was thinking about you right at that moment because some other things were going on. And so I got a very interesting message from a first responder about how they've tried. They were in a different in-house facility, we'll call it,
okay.
Not out at the chateau. And the biggest thing that they were saying is, like, no matter what they did, they still came out of it feeling like they had to deal with the same stuff. And I'm like, well, that struck me a little bit odd, because isn't that like the whole point of immersing yourself in something so that you can discover? It's that pulling back the layers of the onion to discover why things are the way they are, and then learning tools, tactics, ways to move through the stress that is caused by those things. And I just found that odd, because this isn't anybody who's a stranger to therapy, number one, but also addiction, number two. And my main message was, don't give up, that it's not one size fits all, and you deserve to have the healing that you are looking for. And I also so immediately I thought about you, and we're going to get into seriously.
We'll dive into the whole story.
That you went through, but also this secondary fact of, well, if you don't let it work, it'll never work. If you don't practice the tactics, the tools, the things that you're learning, it'll never work. You'll always be at square one, right? And so I think this is a great segue. Fill in for people that haven't noticed, like you've been gone for a month from the show. Remember, it was just my ugly mug on the screen. Trying to
your
hold
ugly mug. Look at this.
So, all right, my chili mug tonight, because it's like sub-zero here in Texas. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're in a t-shirt." He's on the other side of the Metroplex. Apparently, they're not getting the same kind of weather we're getting over here. But so for a month, we've been talking about a lot of different things, a lot of different healings, and before you left, you shared let's face it, a very serious incident, which is, going to be the topic of a lot of policy change that needs to come out of it. But you shared what happened to you. So let's rewind. Let's talk about what happened, and let's go into where the heck is John been for a month? And the chat is open. So if you want to ask questions, submit your questions, because we can see it.
All right. Well, I want to rewind back to what you were saying about the friend that the first responder that that went through therapy, and you hit this right on the head on your mini podcast that you do every Monday with your stressful Mondays.
Solving Your Stress mini-series.
Solving Your Stress mini-series. When we talk about a safety net, when you're in therapy, when you're in a recovery, or when you're in a residential treatment center, you have that safety net. You're in that safe bubble. When you come out, transition's not easy. I'm still transitioning. I'm still having a hard time adapting after just 30 days. So you can imagine what it for somebody who does 60 or 90 days to come back out into what we call the real world and try to apply those skills. So it is a tough adjustment for many, unless you start putting those skills right to work. You could fall right back into that same mindset, that same rut, that same tire rut as you did prior to any type of treatment. So I can see how easy it is to fall backwards and kind of not really put those tools into place. It's a very easy place. It's like that slippery slope. When you talk about alcoholism, and like somebody who goes for alcohol treatment, when they come out, if they're released and they have friends around them that are drinkers, and they go to a bar, it's very easy to slip back into that regression. So it is a hard transition. It's but you got to stay the path, and like you said, you have to want it. You have to keep going. You have to keep moving forward, or you'll slip back into that same bad rut. And so many have done that. So you want me to just keep rolling? I'll start off, and I'll tell you what happened. We'll start from December 27th. When I shared a trauma. I had 30 years of built up trauma inside me, and I finally shared a childhood trauma that actually kicked off all the other traumas and threw me into that rabbit hole. We all, as first responders, we know what that rabbit hole is. It's a place we don't want to go. We try to stay as far away as possible. But I free fall down that. I went to a total free fall down that rabbit hole. So I during that free fall, I attempted suicide, and was ready to give up and ready to, throw in a towel, because my body was just physically in pain, emotionally, and actually physically. I felt the body aches going through my body. When we talk about policy and procedure, and without calling anybody out, it was handled 100%. It wasn't handled right. It wasn't handled the correct way, as in I was sleeping, and the police department, my wife was, begging with the police department outside, along with some other first responders that were outside that were here to help me, to just come in, wake me up, and take me over to a mental health clinic to get the therapy that I needed. But the police department chose not to. They chose to shoot 6 canisters of tear gas through my house after about a 4-hour wait, and making sure that my wife and all my friends were off the block. They ordered everybody off the block before the SWAT team came in. My family and friends were threatened with arrest, which I just found out. One of them was arrested, was taken down because she was considered a hindrance in the area. So they threw her down on the floor, and you're talking about a 6-year-old woman, 55-year-old woman. They threw down to the floor and locked her up as well. So they were a little overzealous. They were a little over anxious for whatever reason. Maybe it's their policy. Maybe, like I said, policy and procedure needs to be changed in this aspect. So, they shot the tear gas into my house. I finally woke up. I heard the breaking glass. I ran to my front door. I ran out to my living room, where I thought I'd find my family, but they had already been removed from the house. I looked outside, and as I opened up the front door, I saw a SWAT team and about 30 officers with their guns raised. And at that point, I thought I killed my family. I thought I went into that bad of a mental down spiral that maybe I killed my family and didn't remember. So now my whole body is reliving this whole thing again. It's in total shock. They're screaming commands at me, and I finally, realized what's going on. So I obeyed all their commands. I lifted my hands. I get out to the street. I get down on my knees, like like they're telling me to do. I'm cuffed and I'm thrown in a police car. And at that point, only one police officer came up to me, and he said, he goes, listen, he goes, we understand what's going on. And this is why I know they knew what was going on. They knew the aspect of this. So the one cop turned around to me, and he said, he goes, hey, we're going to take you over to JPS Hospital and get you the medical evaluation that you need. He said, we're with you. And then about he shuts the door. And at that point, I'm like, oh, so relieved. I'm like, okay, they're going to take me for some mental treatment. And then the door opens up maybe 5-6 minutes later, and here comes another cop saying, we're going to lock you up. You're being locked up for domestic violence felony. And at that point, I was back in shock. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, because you pulled the gun in front of your family, it's protocol that we have to lock you up. So, like, now my body goes back into a free fall. They take me to the local jail. I spend the night in jail. No therapy, no help, no nothing. Thrown in there just like a common criminal, facing these mental problems. They throw me into a cell. I'm once again feeling the downfall.
Oh, I think we just lost John from the stream here. I'm not sure what happened. So until he comes back,
I'm back.
We can hear he's coming back in.
I'm back.
So there you are. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, we're back. I don't know why we lost signal there.
That was weird.
So at the next stage, they wake me up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I think at this point they're going to let me go or they're going to take me to the hospital, but no, they pull me out. They shackle my legs, they shackle my arms, and they move me into a prisoner van where now they transport me over to the county jail. At that point, the whole process goes over again. I get strip searched, thrown into a jumpsuit, and put in a cell again, waiting for some sort of answer about my bond, what's going on. At this point, all they're telling me is I'm arrested for domestic violence, and I still don't know what the deal is. After about 15 hours in the cell, they come back and they now they move me up to general population. They move me up to a cell block. So I go through a whole nother strip search again. I get put in prison jumpsuit, shackled, and walked up to the tier, where I spent the next 8 hours in a cell by myself, with nobody telling me what's going on or what the next steps were. Right. So you can imagine I'm in a free fall. I'm still mentally shocked from all of this. And being a retired cop up on the cell in this state, I started rolling bed sheets. I was done again. I was looking for a place to put the bed sheets, looking for a place to hang myself. And then I've seen on TV all the time, you can hang yourself right off the toilet bowl as long as you sit down. So now I'm pre-planning that in my head. So as I get in the sheets rolled up, I hear the guard coming down the hallway. So I kind of unfold the sheets. I don't want him to find me. And he opens up the door and he says, "Okay, you're bonded out." And this was about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. So he, tells me to grab my stuff, put everything together, grab my stuff, walk back down a tier. And after about 3 hours of exit booking, I get thrown out into the street. At like around 6 a.m., I get thrown out in the street, dead cell phone. I'm in the middle of Fort Worth. I got no jacket. I got no jacket because all I had was a T-shirt. And thank God for my son-in-law, who had spent the last 15 hours waiting outside the jail to pick me up, because I would have had no recourse. I had no money on me, no wallet, no nothing. My family there was no contact with my family whatsoever. But they just threw me out in the street like, "Hey, there you go." So, the mental health issue of what happened that night was not communicated to the county jail, was not communicated to the officers involved. And they just looked at me like a domestic violence violator. So the ball was dropped somewhere, be it on policy procedure, be it one of the officers didn't have enough training or command staff. I don't know where the ball was dropped, but it made matters 1,000 times worse. And after talking to people, I know this goes on across the nation. A lot of our first responders who are dealing with bucket dumps, who are dealing with mental stress issues, are being locked up and treated like criminals, and all they're doing is asking for help. So the stigma, when we talk about smashing the stigma, this is the reason why we want to try to smash that stigma, because it is very real in a lot of communities across the nation.
Yeah. And actually, you have the comment stream as the moderator on your side. So if anybody's commenting or asking questions, I don't know if people can still.
I haven't seen any questions being. Okay. I'll just write it down.
We're definitely, everything's coming through on the YouTube channel just fine. So you just said a really important thing is that here you are, you're amongst what you feel is your brethren, the thin blue line, your brothers and sisters in blue here. You feel violated. Now there's no trust. You don't know who to trust at this point. And I'm getting a phone call saying, call me Sam, John that had this thing, and I'm listening to what happened, and I was like, what? And from my side, from Jeff's side, from John's side, what we do with a badge of honor is this is the kind of stuff that we deal with. And so we are collectively feeling like, wow, we missed the boat with one of our own. And then we kind of backed it up a little bit and say, you know what, we need to make a concerted effort to make sure we all talk. Because it's we have all of us that are part of a badge of honor have been through our stuff. Talking about it is a cathartic experience. Sharing what we went through to help others is what helps us. But sometimes it doesn't actually help us. It reminds us of other traumas that maybe we haven't come to grips with, come to the surface with, talk to other people about it. So the biggest lesson that we all learned out of this, there's two lessons. One, the safety net's always there. Absolutely. Two, that us as educators, we also need to clean house and take care of us as a collective group. That we're not immune to the demons that may rear their ugly head at whatever time of morning or night. And so we learn from this, and fast forward, scrambling, making phone calls, you're getting your land legs back because you just been through the freaking roller coaster ride of a lifetime. And we get, you're going you're going to the chateau.
Well, just to reverse that, like what a badge of honor does here in Texas, I gotta give Trauma Behind the Badge, Chris Scanlon and Doug Monda from Survive First out of Florida, big kudos for what they did after you made that phone call for me to those guys, because they also got the ball rolling with the chateau.
Yeah.
And so many first responders don't have the opportunities that I have. I mean, I have friends like you and 12 that really knew how to pick up this ball and continue rolling. If I was just some schmuck out on, retired guy that was thrown out in the street, who knows where I would have gone. I knew I had your support of you and 12 and Chris and Doug. I knew I was in a safe place once I got myself rolling again. But there's so many officers out there that don't have that safety net or that support network that's out there for them. And that really scared me a lot, knowing that we have our first responders out there with no recourse, no place to go that they feel safe.
And that's why we do what we do at a Badge of Honor. And I have that page. It's abadgeofhonor.com, and you can scroll down. All the resources are right there, vetted resources. And so when we're in crisis, these are the people that we reach out to. It's not, we have all these great resources, but we don't use them. We use them. We use them a lot.
A lot.
We are human. We are not machines. So picked up the phone and got you out of Dodge to some scenic, beautiful place that you shared in the montage as we opened the show.
I spent the last 30 days with some of the most amazing people, Sam, from all different walks of life, different first responders, not only that, different civilians who are battling different addictions. And it was an experience of a lifetime. I don't wish it upon anybody, but if you are battling, the Chateau was really, when you turn around and say that one size fits all, I mean, not one size fits all. That Chateau is not, they really were able to offer so many different types of therapies, so many different types of treatments, because they know it's not they're not taking the treatment to the individual. They want the individual to pick the treatment. And that's the one thing that really resonated with me, because, everybody talks about EMDR and brain spotting and all these different therapies. And EMDR, I got to tell you, though it works on a lot of people, it did not work on me as well as it should. Okay. And that's okay. Then they went into brain spotting, and brain spotting had a better effect than EMDR. So they offer so much, and their regression percentage is so much smaller than those of most, because they know how to treat the addictions. They know how to treat the post-traumatic stress. The therapists are top notch. My therapist, Ben, was an amazing guy, and I'm hoping he'll be on next week to discuss even more. But let me tell you, between the staff, doing meditation, I've learned so much, so many skills and so many tools that I can take back here and take back to our first responders through Badge of Honor and bring to our workshops that will hopefully, resonate with most of the first responders we deal with.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, because, for the first responders and everybody that's listening, you want to make sure, that resources they sound like, hey, you feel comfortable reaching out to them. Okay, you just went through a huge, you had the traumas that you're dealing with in the past that brought this incident on the 27th on, and then that exposed and brought on a whole new set of trauma, because, again, the whole violation by, the thin blue line that we should never see.
Right.
It's when you got there, were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you like really stressed out that, all this stuff was going through your mind of what you experienced since the 27th of the time that you left? Because we talked before you left, and there was a lot.
Yeah, no, I was extremely stressed. I did not know what to expect. I was never placed in a facility like this. I've actually never even visited a facility like this. But sorry, now my dogs are barking.
It's okay.
My whole flight to the airport, flight into Utah, was very stressful because I was overthinking things. To Danny, the CEO of Chateau Recovery, picked me up at the airport, and that's a 45-minute drive. He came there, he picked me up as soon as my plane landed. He texted me, "Hey, I'm outside. I'll help you with your bags, whatever you need." So I went outside. I got in his car. We had 45 minutes of windshield time where he really decompressed me. He told me what to expect, what the place is all about, and really made me feel at ease, So, I mean, right there, I said, you know what CEO is picking a client up at the airport? Right. And right there, she told me off the bat, I'm like, man, this is a place that cares about its people, So, or they just didn't have anybody else to pick you up. And he was like, all right, I'll pick him up. But no, he was wonderful. He our chats going to the chateau were amazing. And then as soon as I get to the chateau, it's not like this hospital setting. It's an old bed and breakfast that they converted into a recovery center. And it's surrounded by beautiful mountains, so it's very tranquil. It's not like busy. It's in a private like HOA type area, so you don't have a lot of traffic. It's very peaceful. It's a very peaceful place. I get inside, it was almost like walking into being a guest getting registered at a hotel, because from the moment you walked in, the reception desk was there. They welcome you. They don't treat you like a client. They're treating you like a guest. The medical staff brought me in, did an evaluation on me, asked me some questions, and you could tell right off the bat that they were very concerning on your issues. You weren't a number, you were a person. Everything was how do you feel about this? This is what we're going to do. They explained every step of the way. And when we talk about first responders being open and sharing their experiences with other guys and girls, right? I'm sure you have friends that you've known for a lifetime, but there's certain things you kind of feel a little weird sharing with them, you know? Even the clients at the Chateau, the group that I was paired with, when I walked into the kitchen, I met these two amazing people. I'll just give you their first, one was a nurse and one was a firefighter, and I went and I sat at the table and they came over and they were just very inviting. They were like, "Hey, how you doing?" They introduced themselves. And after about 15 minutes of talking to the man, my whole vulnerability just opened up and I shared my story. People I don't know, Yeah. So I shared a trauma that happened to me, as a kid with these people that I don't even know. That's how safe this place makes you feel from the moment you walk in, that you could just throw up every trauma, throw up every emotion, because they're right there to help you out and catch you and give you the tools you need it's okay to cry. I think I did more crying in 30 days than I have in my whole life. And I had more shoulders to cry on. And that's not only the clients, that's staff. Any given time during the day, boom, the staff was there for you. So,
yeah,
it was, and we had a guy in therapy who has gone through 10 recovery centers for alcoholism, right? Now, you think that guy's pretty well versed in recovery centers, right?
This was 10's a lot.
Yeah. This was his first time in the Chateau, right? His first time at the center. And he was an older gentleman. And after this is his 10th time in, he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "After all these years in recovery," he goes, "after going from recovery center to recovery center to recovery center," he goes, "This is the only place that's ever made me feel comfortable and confident that when I leave, I'm not going to drink again."
Wow.
It's got to say something about the place.
Yeah. So as it goes with first responders, we approach everything with our armor on, like shields up. We're not trusting because it's like, hey, I don't know you, I'm not going to let you inside here or here.
Right.
And the fact that the space was created right off the bat to make you feel welcome. And the biggest thing, for us and what we do is we want to make sure we get the person to the right place. And we said in the beginning, not one size does not fit all. So the fact that we have all of these incredible resources at our disposal, that's the beauty of what we've been putting together at A Badge of Honor for 2 years now. It's been that long. And so we knew, the people working behind the scenes, that we were getting you where you needed to be, because the biggest thing, and I'll speak for me, was to immediately have you surrounded by a family member of first responders, that no matter what, you were with people that have done what you've done as a career, that had suffered traumas both in and out of being a first responder. And so you weren't going to feel like an island, number one, and that you could let those shields down. And that's what it's all about. Take everybody that's listening. And again, first responders, this is really key, because it's not about you thinking that it's all on you, that you have a built-in network. Even if you don't know me and John, and you go to the website and you scroll down to any of those resources, you call them, you say, "I got your number from A Badge of Honor." They know who we are. Okay. So you are not alone at any point. And so here you are, you're sharing with these people, and all right, now, I don't know. Now it's game time. Like, maybe you got the first couple of hours to kind of like get your feet wet or whatever, but now it's like ding, ding, ding. Time to get the help on. Take us through your first day and what was going through your mind, like kind of like from the moment you woke up. Like, okay, this is real.
Well, what they do is, I'm not going to lie to you, they're long days. They're long, hard days, but they work with you to, that's because they got a lot of information to give you. So you get a knock on your door at 6:30 in the morning to wake you up. 7 o'clock, you are down in the rec room doing some sort of meditation, and they kind of change it up on different meditations and different yoga and different stretching exercises. So you do that for about an hour. All right. And then you move in and they give you breakfast. The food there, I have to say, is top notch. 4-star chefs cook amazing meals for you. They keep you very healthy. Steak every Friday night. The chefs are amazing there. So, after breakfast, then you go into group, and sometimes the groups are an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It depends who the speaker is that day. And they'll it's more of a sharing group. They'll tell you how the brain works. They really let you know what's happening to your brain as a first responder in the fight or flight or freeze mode, and how the midbrain works and how it releases chemicals. They don't, and they tell you this in layman's terms. They don't tell you in some psychology terms. They tell you like a sixth grader can understand it, and that's my mentality sometimes. So I was able to grasp what these doctors and these people with all the letters behind the name, the PhDs, and were able to say, because they don't speak to you, they speak with you, they speak to you, not at you, and they open themselves up to questions. So you do about 2 to 3 hours, and then you break for lunch. After lunch, either you have a little rec time, or you'll have guest speakers coming in from either Trauma Behind a Badge or different recovery meditation sites, and they'll tell you different, give you different stress debriefing things, tools. Mm-hmm. So it's constant tools. And then you work that until about dinner time. That goes until about 5 o'clock, and then usually around 6 o'clock you do one last hour of some sort of group therapy, or you may have throughout the day you have individual therapy, either EMDRs, brain spotting, or time with your own personal therapist. So they rotate everybody through those as well. So then after 6 o'clock, about 7 o'clock, we have what they call wrap up, and wrap up is everybody gets into the rec room, and we have a whiteboard, and it tells everybody's emotions. They'll say on a scale from 1 to 10, like they'll say to me, they'll say, John, from a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? 1 being like your lowest point, or 1 being your greatest feeling, or 10 being your highest point. So most of the days I was at around a 5 or a 6. Some days I'd lower down, and we go through that with all the clients, right? And if the client's on a higher scale, like say 7 or 8, everybody gets together and says, hey, what can we do to help you bring that number down? How can we relieve that so you don't go to sleep anxiety ridden? So it really is a collective bargaining with everybody that makes you feel really, really good. And in the morning you do a check-in. How you wake up, you give your number.
Yeah, and that's important because that's part of the learning, the awareness of where you are, which we've talked about before, which I talk about all the time, is if you are going through the motions. And when I did a show on Eustas, and I also talked about it with my brain, the name just went right out of my head. But it's so as first responders, we get conditioned to come off shift. Let's say we go home, and where we turn on the TV, we sit down in our lazy boy or whatever, our favorite spot in the chair. We got the clicker in our hand, and we're doing this. We're not watching the show. I remember it was the Wounded, the Prepared Warrior podcast that I just did, as well as the Thin Blue Line, and that one's coming out from a guy in Canada and then here in the U.S. And we talked about our brain and how we're always looking for that distraction. So if you're never in a mode, because this surfing the TV is a distraction technique, so we don't have to get inside here. We don't have to deal with the hard day that we had. So if we go through a life of being exposed to trauma, and then we utilize the distraction techniques, and drinking is another one, we never tap into the ability to give ourselves, hey, are we a 1? Are we a 5? Are we a 10?
Right.
And if we can't do that, then we can't address how to bring these things down. And so that's a huge thing. And I know that you're utilizing that every day now. Right?
Yeah, well, it's the breathing skills, and I even shared with you some of the breathing skills, the Wim Hof theory, which is an amazing theory. I mean, instead of turning on the TV, because we, like you said, and that's a good point you bring up, that distraction like the TV. So we'll turn on the news, and all we hear in the news is negative feedback on every aspect of life. So that now we had the negativity from work. We're home.
Oh, we lost John again, so he'll be back. But what John is reinforcing is the fact that we are always in a distracted mode instead of, there you are.
Yeah.
You're back. It's got to be the weather that's blowing through tonight, which is very unusual here in Texas. But so continue your thought.
The distraction of the TV, looking at all that negativity. If you just sit back and take some really easy breathing exercises, there's an exercise called the 4-7-8. Really easy to think about. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 seconds, and then you let it go for 8 seconds. So 4-7-8, really easy numbers to remember. You can do that anywhere. John Edmondson from Healing Springs Ranch has taught breathing skills are a must in a first responder atmosphere, because it keeps you grounded. It brings your heart rate down. It keeps your mind centered. It gets you out of that mid brain thinking and puts you back into your frontal lobe, where your reasoning and everything else and your proper thinking becomes key in judgment, in emotion, and everything else. When we stay in our mid brain, we end up working at a sheer fear or freezing or doing something damaging. So a simple breathing technique like 4-7-8, and it doesn't take a long time. You can do it for 10 seconds or 5 seconds. It will bring your heart rate down and it will calm you.
You mean 5 cycles?
Or 5 cycles, yeah.
5 cycles of the 4-7-8, yeah.
Yep, yeah. I mean, for some people it may take 10 cycles, but that's okay. For some people, after they've done it a while, it may take 3 cycles. So, it's just something that you have to mentally put your mind to do. And it's not easy to remember, but we have to as first responders see. And this is stuff they should be training in the academy. This is stuff they should be telling our recruits when they go through basic academy class that says, hey, listen, if you become stressed, here are a couple simple techniques to bring your level down, because then we won't have cops or firemen getting so excited or adrenaline rushed. Right. Mm-hmm. Or with that sudden rush of dopamine and throw them into that big state of hypervigilance. Maybe we can calm guys down. Maybe we can, let them think a little bit more reasonable, and it's healthier in the long run.
Yeah. Well, you just brought up a fantastic point is, no matter what kind of academy you're in, for first responders, we exit the academy. First, we're in the academy. We get the tools. We learn how to utilize the tools to facilitate the best service we can give to our communities. But they leave out the how to take care of yourself toolbox.
Yes.
Right. So we get cool things like guns and Halligan tools and the hoses and how to hook them up to fire hydrants as well as the trucks and all these cool things with being an EMT. But that we got a separate toolbox, and it's called dealing this either mid shift or after shift. And I want to say that while you've been getting well, that we've always put out the surveys after we do a workshop with a badge of honor. Okay.
Right.
Because it is our number one goal to deliver the best quality information to the first responder population that we're doing the workshop for. And I am so happy to say that it is the breathing that we have been talking about that is number one. And the first responders are using it in the morning when they get up.
Nice.
And all day throughout their shift.
That's amazing.
That is what it's there for. That is what we tried to hammer home, that hey, this is not just a workshop full of, hey, we're gonna throw this at you like spaghetti at a wall and you see what sticks. You're going to get to utilize these tools just like you, John, just like Chateau, right?
Yep.
You have a menu and it's not thrown at you. You're utilizing them. You're learning about them. You're learning why they work. Maybe it's not as effective for you as for somebody else. But then it's the key thing. It's like, okay, then we got to do it every day.
Yep. You got to make a conscious effort to do it.
Exactly. You are a part of your therapy protocol. It's not sitting there listening to a therapist explain to you, oh, well, this is what it is, and so let's do it now. And then you get up, walk away, and you don't do it.
Right.
No, they're giving you the tool. It's up to you to utilize that in your wellness protocol. And I just feel like, man, you have come back with, I can't even put how big because I'm off the screen. You're like, is so gigantic now. It's like, I mean, gratitude, blessings. I'm just so happy for you.
Let me tell you, it's you said it too, a psychologist or a doctor could only tell you so much. They're going to hand you the tools. It's your choice to use them outside. They can't babysit you. So that, you're the one that has to put this stuff in place. So just like with an alcoholic or someone who's on narcotics, with an addiction, they could tell you everything not to drink. They could give you all the tools to say, here, use these tools at AA, use your 12-step, use this, use that, use the other thing to not drink. But you know what? Once you leave that little bubble, okay, it's all up to you. It's all up to you if you're going to choose to continue on with what they have trained you to do. So that's why it's the utmost important to have confidence in the person that you are dealing with. Confidence in the facility that has trained you with these. Do the research. Healing Springs Ranch that we deal with John Edmondson. Now the Chateau. We want to have confidence in our providers. We're not just going to go to some general practitioner for our issues. We want to go to people that are professionally equipped to handle this. And the Chateau definitely has 100% equipment in their staff to help you get through all these issues, no matter what they are. It's an amazing program, and they're there to help.
And we can see the relief on your face. By the way, you are a completely different. You've got this sense of peace, this sense of being relaxed, and when you can listen to your story and really just get into it and be like, oh my God, what you went through. And then to see you now and, hey, I got these tools. I did what they told me to do. I hold myself accountable.
That's right. Got to hold yourself accountable. You got to own it.
Right. And here you are. You're a changed person, man. I mean, it's like I swear, I'm like watching you. I'm looking at you the whole time that you're talking, and you can see when you go back into the moments of like the 27th and that, and then you talk about everything that you learned and the meditations, and off the show we talked about practices of Buddhism. I mean, it's things that There you go. Things that you never thought in a million years that you would ever first come across. Like, why would you go there? And number two, something that gave you a peace and an ability to now say, hey, I'm waking up today and I'm feeling like I'm a 6. Let me do this. Okay, then let me check in. Okay, yep. I'm a 5. Oh, let me do this. Let me check in. Now I'm a 3.
And it's also imperative for family members when we talk about family members, because here's another thing with the chateau. Tara was stuck for 30 days by herself with my father-in-law, right? So right. She was actually going through pretty much the same thing I was going through, but have to take care of the household. Life goes on with the family members when we go into recovery and treatment. But the chateau, they stayed in touch with her almost every other day. Either one therapist or the other. Every day they would call her, email her. How are you doing? How are things holding? How are you holding up? How can we help? Giving progress reports on me. So gave her tests, the same tests I was taking in therapy. They gave her so that we can mesh and get things together. This way, she was not out of the loop. Which is one thing was phenomenal that they kept the family members. Oh, there she is.
Hello. Great to see you.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's so great to see you.
You too. And I told John, thank you so much for all you did for me and explain things to me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So real quick, don't give him the headphones back.
Okay.
What did it mean for you to be able to be involved in this process?
Shock that they reached out to me. And you know what? I was on board from the minute one, and they were shocked that I was every day I was waiting every Tuesday for the new week thing to do. And I would send, and they said it was up to me to invite family and friends. I was inviting everybody. Get involved. To a point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because we had talked about, John and I, many times on the show that, very early on when you have a first responder in crisis, the family is often left out of the process. So I think it's important for people that are listening tonight to say
I was for the chateau particularly was so not left out. From day one. I had Lee, who was our family, counselor. I spoke to Ben, who was John's personal therapist. I have spoken to Lori,
the nurse,
who was a nurse, but also the first responder therapist. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was all the time. I had a camaraderie so bad that one night I was on the phone with a couple of different ones till 11 o'clock at night, texting, talking. It was wonderful. And I could ask them anything.
That's great.
Yeah. It was wonderful. Awesome. I'm so glad that was the place he went. All these years, I was hoping that it would come to this, not at this point, not in that drastic way, but I don't think there could have been a better place. I think God has a way. God has his time for things to happen, because this was unbelievably 5-star. 5-star.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to. I think we're going to have Ben or Danny on next week, right, John?
Ben or Danny on next week. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm putting the headphones back. Sam, I love you for your support.
Love you.
Thank you for letting me vent to you that night. I love you.
Love you too. Anytime.
Much blessings.
Okay.
So. That was. You
can see how emotional she's getting just thinking about the treatment that the chateau offered even the family members, which is such a vital part of recovery when it comes to something like this.
Okay, so I'm looking at the time, and I want to touch on something that's really, I think, really critical that people tend to overlook, and first responders and beyond, because we create our environment at home a lot of, offices, and because of COVID, all the Zoom meetings, you can see behind me this way.
Yeah.
That, I have the patches. This is a different scenery. It has not always been like this. Where I come and do all my meetings it was a 3-year work in progress. It's finally up. These things stayed in boxes for years. I mean, when I found the box, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even remember that. Like, I remembered I had them, but I didn't remember where I put them. And I want to talk about creating an environment that is conducive for continued healing, because all of our, I'll call it trophies, our awards, our pictures, that's not always the case.
We as first responders sometimes do that to ourselves. And I don't know if you wanted me to elaborate on what happened in my house with my patches. I don't know if I spoke to you about it.
I want you to talk about what you learned in Chateau, specifically about creating an environment that's conducive for your success and continuing with your therapy protocols versus, right. And when you came home, you realized, oh, I don't have that.
Right. It's called a Watkins room. You develop a Watkins room somewhere in your house where it has, soft lighting, some nice pictures, positivity. We as first responders tend to hang things in our man caves and our women caves and our trophy rooms that bring back a lot of negative energy. It's okay to hang up awards, and it's okay to hang up some, nice commendations or pictures. But when we start putting up the negativity stuff, the blood and guts, the traumas, even though they're fun sometimes to look at, we all know that. We want to show them off to our friends, that's all well and good. But every time we walk into that room, our brain, our eyes are like a camera. They scan the whole room. And even though we don't look at it and say, oh, I remember that, our eyes and our brain are taking in all that negativity, and it's right. Our subconscious. So we tend to now have that in our heads. And until it's like watching the bad news 24/7, you're going to become negative. So what we have to do is to remove a lot of that negativity, fill it with more positive stuff like the Watkins room and soft lighting and a safe zone for us. It's okay to share a lot of the stuff in your room, your awards, your pride stuff, but to stay away from the headlines. I had all the 9/11 headlines in my man cave. Why would I do that to myself? Every time I walk in, that's all I see. That's all I remember. And it brings me back to those dark times. It brings me back to those dark places. So I bet you every first responder that's listening to us right now, or every spouse of a first responder that's listening to us right now, can go into their man caves and go, well, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative, and start pulling that stuff down. Believe it or not, it really, really helps. It puts you into a whole different mindset. And that's what we have to do, is get into a different mindset.
Right. Again, it's that awareness. If it was never talked about, if you, John, had personally never gone through the 27th, didn't go to the Chateau, didn't learn about the Watkins room, you might want to put that in the comments. Watkins, Watkins, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
Watkins room. You would have never understood how everything, and I've seen the pictures and everything in your man cave. You would have never put two and two together. You would have just kept going through life with this undercurrent of stress that you talk about, not knowing where it came from, not realizing that you were putting yourself in that environment every single day. Well, of course, that's going to have some effect on you. And I just think it's awesome. We could go on for an entire another hour about what you learned, and we're actually gonna continue this next week. so we can really do a continued deep dive and understand even more. And again, if you are wanting to know more, if you are a first responder family member, a friend of who wants to know more because you're recognizing signs in your loved ones and your friends, you can go to a badgeofhonor.com is right there. Scroll down to resources, click on the Chateau Recovery icon, or logo rather, is on our recovery. It's on our part. Wow, it's been a long day. Our partners, scroll down, our partners, you click on the logo and it'll take you right to the webpage. John also has the direct link, chateaurecovery.com. Again, please, this is all about information gathering for you so that you can help yourself and others the best way that you know how, because we've got to stick together, whether it's the thin blue line, the thin green line, yellow, red, doesn't matter what line. If you are on the front lines as a first responder, with everything that we are seeing every single day in this crazy thing called the United States of America, we have to stick together. If there's never been a time before now to stick together as a collective family, we have to do it right now. We've got 16, I think it's 17 suicides this year, and it's only February 10th. We must look out for each other. We must not be afraid to say, hey, how are you? Hey, what's up? Hey, I noticed you got really pissed off at this. What's going on? We can't be afraid to start the conversations, as uncomfortable as they might turn out to be, because you never know when you're going to be able to save a life. And John, just, thank God things worked out the way that they did, that at least the one officer on scene had the forethought, had the awareness to realize what was going on. Your time will come, our time will come to deal with
the policy procedure
and aftermath of it, because that's a policy thing. We will get it done. We're not going to give up that fight, because no one should be treated the way that you were treated. There was no reason for it to go down the way it did, and hopefully a lot of incredible things come
Sam,
out.
I just want to cut in real quick, because you brought up the 17 police officers. I think it's 16 police officers so far this year, unless I'm mistaken. But let's just bring back to, we're talking about our mental health and how our departments supposedly have all these mental health awareness programs put in place.
We lost John again, so sorry about that. A lot of technical difficulties. So I'm not sure what he was going to say, and we just had.
I'm back.
But okay, we got John back. So all right, so we just had is where you left off.
Oh, well, we just had 2 Capitol police officers take their own lives because of direct impacts of what happened on January 6th with the demonstrations and the breach of the Capitol, right?
And the death. And the death. One death of their own, yes.
So I would figure that at no point in time there was a debriefing, a decompression, an awareness. No one took these officers in that were under total stress from that day and said, hey, how is everybody feeling? How are we doing? They sent people home with this extreme trauma inside them. So I don't think there was any debriefing. There may have been, but maybe it was not done right. We shouldn't have lost it.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I think in 2 weeks we're gonna have some people on that were able to go to DC to find out more information. So stay tuned.
Yes.
For that show, we'll let you know when they're coming on. And we get to talk about the tough stuff. We get to have the guests come on to talk about the tough stuff because of your support out there. And again, if you're in need of help, we've got the safety net. A badgeofhonor.com is where to visit. We ask that, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what we bring you each week, please visit that website. Click on Mad Radio. There's a place You can donate. Every dime goes to the Badge of Honor programs. We can't run this show. We can't do the workshops without your help as well. And so you can also support the show. Once the show is over, on our Facebook page, on the Mad Radio, you just scroll all the way up. We've got authors. You can purchase books, support the people that are out there doing the hard work every day to make sure our first responders stay safe. And I've been told the most unique way to support the show, again, crazy, insane times we're living in. You owe it to yourself not only to learn to protect you, but to protect your family. Visit carryintexas.com, get your Texas license to carry. And folks, don't wait. Do that now. There's so much coming out of DC. You owe it to yourself and your family to secure your safety. Carryintexas.com. It's the Texas license to carry course. Until next week, John, thank you for being again so open and sharing everything that you did. We're going to continue this next week.
Yes.
And to all of the first responders out there, every day we wake up, we start it, we pray for you. We have your back. When it feels like nobody else does, we do. You have communities around the country that are on your side, that will support you. Let us be that for you. John, you want to take us home?
Yeah. Once again, I want to thank Chateau Recovery. I want to thank Ben Pearson, my therapist over at the Chateau. I want to thank Danny, the CEO, the entire staff. The opening to today's show, I got permission from all the clients that were featured in the opening of this show to be able to use their photographs. Hannah, who is recovering, she is the one who sang the beautiful rendition of Hallelujah and in the beginning of the thing. So I want to thank them all for participating and in the healing of me. I'm sure once they all come out, they know about our Mad Radio show. They would love to be able to share their experiences as well. So once again, get help. It's okay not to be okay. You have the resources out there. You have Badge of Honor out there. We are there for you. And once again, if you can, today is not the day to give up. So, Sam, until next week, same time, same bad channel, and God bless.
God bless you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Stay well. Stay warm.
Yeah.
Good night.